everyone. You are listening to your Palm Beach Guide with the Palm Beach Chamber of Commerce. My name is Kiana Rivera, and I'm the Vice President of Program Development and Membership here at the Chamber. Today, I'm excited to welcome Adam Milavsky, the Senior Director of Manhattan and Florida Ambulatory Operations at NYU Langone Health. Adam brings a wealth of experience in healthcare administration and operational leadership, having grown within NYU Langone from an administrative coordinator to senior director. Today, we'll be talking about his career journey, NYU Langone's expansion into Florida, and his insights on the future of healthcare delivery.
Thank you. That's a great introduction. I appreciate it. I'm excited to be here, and it's my pleasure.
And thank you for making a trip down. So thank you so much. So we'll jump right in. Adam, your career path at NYU Langone Health has been impressive, from growing from administrative coordinator to senior director. What has driven your growth within the organization, and what lessons have you learned along the way?
It's a great question. When I got the job at NYU Langone Health 15 years ago, I was excited that it was a foot in the door at what I thought was a great, company, great institution. And I didn't know much else. I just knew the reputation, and the trajectory was that I saw that it was growing. And, I certainly applied myself and wanted to work hard, but, there were opportunities along the way, and I've had some great mentors and doors open up for me. And it is the type of place that really has a culture of growth and allowing people to take on more if they're
if they're willing
to do so. And the organization is growing as well. So we've had great leadership, stable leadership for a long time, and a lot of people, a lot of my colleagues that I work with have been there 20, 25, 30 years. So it's somewhat unique in the healthcare landscape. I know a lot of friends and other colleagues who've worked elsewhere, and some people tend to bounce around a little bit, and I think that is a reflection of the cultural
and the leadership,
issues and the leadership
like
at other institutions. For me, it's been a place. Back in 2010, I said, "Let's see if I can do 5 years," and then reassess how it looks. And then I got there and I said, "I can do 5 more." And then it's kind of now I'm thinking 10 years, and I just love it. It's been a great place.
Great. 15 years ago, were you right out of school? What was going on?
I was a few years out. I went to college and I went to graduate school straight after full time. I worked there, did some research and graduate assistant type work. And then I had a job, moved to New York, and I had a job with a small consulting company working for the city government.
Okay.
It was
night and day difference from
it was
government to healthcare.
Yeah,
wow.
It was not my favorite
job.
And at the time, I didn't know I liked healthcare. I wanted to get into healthcare, and the economy wasn't strong. And I said, and actually my wife helped guide me there as well, because she was in the healthcare administration world as well. So
shout out to your wife.
I took a chance. Yeah, absolutely. Shout out Caitlin. So took a chance and got a job. And I walked into human resources. That was back when they would just give you a binder of the job postings. And I pulled out 3 or 4 that I thought I was qualified for with my minimal experience. And I landed something entry level. And the rest is kind of history.
Rest is history. I love it. So before NYU Langone, you worked as a project manager and research assistant early in your career. How did those experiences shape your leadership style and approach to what you're doing today?
It's a good question.
Because we all got to start somewhere, right?
Yeah,
you always start at honestly, you always start at the bottom, and you're just like, okay, what's the next step for me to really go from here?
That was a job I took because I was coming out of graduate school, and I wanted to move to New York, and I was having trouble really, finding my footing and figuring out what I wanted to do. So I was able to land that job. I can't even really recall how. I was applying everywhere. And it wasn't really for me.
Yeah.
I wanted to tough it out at least for a year and get some experience under my belt. And it taught me more about what
not to do,
what a lack of leadership looks like. It was a type of place where you didn't get much guidance. You were kind of on your own. Projects and deadlines would get pushed arbitrarily, and people would sit around for a month without much to do. And
oh my goodness.
So I saw, colleagues of mine that had been there for, 25, 30 years, and they were just, they were okay with the status quo and the complacency of it, and not being as busy. And I wanted something more. I wanted to be busy and creative and be able to apply myself. So it taught me, in terms of my leadership, I think I just wanted to be somewhere where I was going to be able to grow and be in a culture where people wanted to work and wanted to do something and push themselves
Right.
to make their organization a better place.
Well, and I think it speaks to, your leadership style with your own team of how you're focusing. I'm sure there's a better focus for you as a leader that's like, okay, let me make sure that my team is constantly growing, that they feel like they're being fulfilled as well. And I'm sure they do the same for you as well. So that's amazing. Sometimes you have to start with an unfortunate experience to be like, all right, I know what I'm not
I
going to do.
wouldn't have had any other way. I mean, it was an experience that shaped me, and you're right. It
Right.
helped me figure out how to develop my team and myself and move forward.
Go from there. So for listeners who might not be familiar, can you explain what ambulatory operations, even means and why they're so critical to patient care today?
Sure. I mean, it's a great question. It runs the gamut from everything related to, I mean, we're very big on patient access. So it's how our patients can access care, right?
Mhm.
Can they get in as a new patient quickly enough with the specialties that they need to see? From there, moving through their visit. And then everything that's required, after they see their doctor,
Right.
follow up on test results and an MRI that was ordered or referral to a specialist and really that communication loop with the care team. So it really is a holistic type of role that impacts everything that our patients need to, the staffing of our sites and
Right.
financials as well, of course, to make sure things are running well. But it's really, patient focused and making sure that we're doing the right things and even just optimizing the way we take our phone calls and that patients can search for our physicians on the website and scheduling online. And
That app is amazing. Let
isn't
me
it?
tell
It's
you,
great.
the app is I wish every doctor's office had an app or an app that's as user friendly as yours.
It
Like,
is what
wow.
our leadership team is very big into making sure that patients can access
Yeah.
digitally scheduled appointments, and
Not
it
only
works great.
appointments,
And
but the test results afterwards. Like I get a little notification that's like, here, you can view your test
yeah,
results now. And I'm
yeah.
like, that's amazing. Thank
I
you.
went to my own doctor the other day, and I had an appointment at 10 a.m. and I had the lab results by 2 p.m.
Yeah,
There are pickups throughout the day, and the labs are run very quickly. So, but
exactly.
that's something that it drives us operationally to make sure that we are keeping up with that. Right,
Mm,
the patient's going to see those results. Has the doctor seen them? Is the nurse able to answer questions? So, how we staff that and operationalize how we're getting back to patients and making sure that they have the communication they need from the care team is a big part of the job.
absolutely. And so overseeing operations in both Manhattan and Florida is a significant responsibility and, of course, different locations. So, what are some of the unique challenges and opportunities of managing two different healthcare markets?
It's it can be difficult because the markets are incredibly different.
Night and day
In
difference.
New York, we have, just not just Manhattan, but across Long Island and Brooklyn, Queens, and Staten Island, we have about 4,000 ambulatory
Oh,
physicians
wow.
and 320 locations. That's not including the hospitals. And the biggest difference with Florida is we're a lot smaller and the healthcare is a little bit more fragmented. In New York, everything, as best we can, stays
Right.
in network.
Yeah.
If you see your doctor and they send you to a specialist or you need an MRI, we can accommodate that
Mm,
close to your home or work. Whether you work in the city and you live in Long Island, we can make that happen. In Florida, until at least the end of next year when we open this tower, some things leave the network and that makes it harder to get results back
right.
and facilitate with the speed that we're used to. That's the biggest thing for us right now. I mean, Florida has great doctors and we're trying to hire as many as we can. But the healthcare system overall is a little bit more fragmented than what we're
Right.
used to in New York.
So you mentioned a tower. Is this breaking news? What is
No,
happening in West
this
Palm?
has been in the news. There have been a couple stories on this. So we received a very generous gift from the Julia Koch Family Foundation.
Wow.
It's an 8-story ambulatory tower that's going to have 6 operating rooms, physical therapy, a full suite of radiology, so MRIs,
Wow.
CTs, ammo, DEXA, ultrasound, plain X-ray. And then a whole floor of physician offices and examiner, so we can expand the specialties and the services that we offer.
Is NYU Langone considered like concierge healthcare?
No,
It's not.
not at
Okay.
all. Not at all. I mean, we accept commercial insurances and
Yeah,
and and, and
everything.
most of the payers, and we have 1 or 2 doctors in New York that may focus a little bit on concierge, but 99.9% of our efforts are on taking care of every patient
Yeah.
that we can.
Well, and I can say too, I mean, I'll plug it here because the customer service is almost like it's concierge care. That's how I experience
That's
it.
great.
So, shout out to you guys because it makes me feel like I have my own concierge
I'm
care.
glad to hear you're a patient.
Oh,
I mean, so
yeah.
you have a little
I
bit of
am
the
a patient.
experience. Right.
You're my doctor. So I love it. I love it. I love it. Let's jump in really quick to just some specific Florida questions. NYU Langone has a growing footprint here in Florida. And aside from just being able to expand in Florida and increase the level of care, what are some other really exciting opportunities that NYU Langone will see when you guys are already here, but when that building happens?
I think it's really about making sure that we can expand into some new areas that we don't have
Mm.
currently. Right now we have internal medicine, cardiology, GI, orthopedic surgery, pain management, dermatology, um, GYN, and we want to add a few more. We add a few more doctors within those areas to
Yeah.
just really help meet the demand and make sure access is not getting to a point where we're booking out too far and
Right.
patients can access the care they need. And then adding some new specialties like urology is a big one that we
Mm.
want to recruit. Rheumatology is another that we're looking for. So it's going to give us the ability to meet the demands of the types of specialties that patients need, and including primary care, which we really never have
Right.
enough of.
That's true. So you've managed large teams, resources, and operational strategies across different regions. What's your philosophy when it comes to leading people and keeping teams aligned? Or if you have a philosophy, or if
No,
it's
I
just
mean it's really focused on communication, and that comes from the top of our organization, making sure that you're over communicating. I tend to tell my team I'm not going to micromanage you as long as you're communicating what you're
right,
doing and you're asking questions, and I'll help with anything you need. If I have to micromanage it, it becomes
annoying.
it's yeah. Well, it's that's more of a reaction to someone not doing what they should be
Right.
doing. So if people are working hard, and I'm big on developing my team. Every time I hire someone new, I tell them like I don't hire someone thinking you're going to be here for a year or two. I'd like to get people who are smart and hardworking and want to grow with the company the
Right.
way I was able to, and so many other of my colleagues have been. And yeah, really help have a plan that we could work together for 5, 10 plus years. So.
Well, and I love that you have the longevity focus in mind. So you aren't so many people, especially just the young crowd, it seems, is the 1 or 2 year like in and out. Whereas you specifically hire for 5 to 6 years or even longer.
Yeah, and it's not where we ask them to sign a
Oh
contract. It's
yeah,
not a
you're like
commitment.
sign your life
It's
away.
but it's something where you want to envision that someone you're hiring is someone that will be successful with the company
Mm.
and someone that you can see yourself working with for the long haul. And I think that's one thing that sets NYU apart from other health systems. And there has been a lot of stability with leadership on down, and people have had the opportunity to grow. So there's no reason to really to leave. So.
Right. For young professionals who want to grow into healthcare leadership roles, what advice would you give about building experience, finding mentors, and making an impact?
I think the biggest thing is figuring out sort of which pathway you want to take. I mean, a lot of people start off in the practice side of things where they're
Mm.
working, either they start at the front desk or maybe they're an office supervisor and they kind of come up that way and seeing the day to day patient interaction. And there's folks that work more on the corporate side and they do some of the business planning and the finance and the operations related to how we hire doctors and how we open new sites and contracts and things like that. So I like when people sort of have a blend of both.
Right.
There are people that start off as a financial analyst, as a young professional, and as they move up, they realize that what happens in the practices day in and day out is sort of a blind spot, and they want to go get some experience over there, and then
Mhm.
that makes them a little bit more well-rounded. To me, that would be the biggest piece of advice to someone who's young, getting into the healthcare world. Figure out what interests you now, but then as you move ahead, make sure that you are able to speak to the global view of what it is that we do.
Right.
Is your one role in terms of how is that business plan you're working on for a new doctor, a new group we're bringing on? How does it impact our patient access and the sites that they're ultimately going to work in, the
Mhm.
patients that will need to access their care and orders and testing and procedures that may come from there. So it's making yourself well rounded and being able to speak to the full range of what it is that we offer. I think is important
The
for a
full
young person.
picture, really. So it's and you're the focus is too of just really making sure that they understand the company as a whole and that they're able to really speak to, you're not asking them to be masters in every single sector and every single, portion of the company,
Yeah,
but at least have a general idea because if you're going to be with the company for that long, you're going to want to be well rounded, is what
absolutely.
it seems.
I am not the one who you know, negotiates rates with our insurance companies, for
Right.
instance, or, I'm not a lawyer. So but when I talk to the people that handle managed care and the negotiations with insurance companies and the legal team and finance. It's important to at least understand what they do and how it
Right.
impacts the big picture, and being able to ask the right questions.
Yeah.
Even if that's not directly your role.
Your role. So did you learn these incredible skills from a mentor, or do you have great parents who just kind of instilled this work ethic in you? How did this
My parents
happen?
do have a great work ethic. My boss, our senior vice president, Andrew Rubin, who I've worked with for 12 of the 15 years I've been at NYU, has been an incredible mentor. He's been there 25 years. You know, when he started the faculty group practice, what we call our ambulatory network,
Yeah.
had a handful of doctors. Now we have 4,000. So
Wow.
it's been incredible growth. He gave me an opportunity to run a new site we opened in Midtown Manhattan about 12 years ago. I was working in our psychiatry department at the time, just some lower level supervisory type of
Yeah.
work with their practice. And before that, I was doing credentialing with doctors and in the hospital. And so I got an opportunity to be an office manager of a new site we were opening, new multi.
Wow.
Wasn't huge at the time. That site had about 25 exam rooms.
But it seems like that was a pivotal point in your
Oh,
career.
absolutely. 'Cause I took that. I mean, it was to me at the time, it was huge. It was 15,000 square feet, 25 exam rooms. We were seeing a couple hundred patients a day, and that site alone has now expanded 3 other times, and it's 80,000 square feet. We see 1,000 patients a day, and then from there, I was able to expand regionally into the oversight of the rest of our ambulatory sites in the city. So yeah, I've had a great mentor in Andrew, and other people have as well. Because like I said, people stay and they grow and they're developed at NYU, and it's a key aspect of our culture.
So, in regards to your own career, focusing back on that, when you've come across challenges and just things that you're like, "What in the world is going on right now?" Were those moments where you second guess, like, "Is this job for me?" Like, we've all had these moments. What are some just practical takeaways that you can share? That's just like either, I mean, you stuck it out. You've been there
Yep.
for a long time, and what kind of goes through your head, during those moments?
There are times where the job is stressful because in operations anything can happen.
Right.
And it it kind of molds you into this mindset of when things are going well, you feel like it's the calm before the storm.
Yeah.
Like, what is going to happen? And some people describe the role as like putting out fires all the time, which definitely happens. But I tend to look at it as if you're able to find a way to be proactive and not complacent with things. If something's going well, some people tend to just leave it alone because it's working. We like to constantly reevaluate, fight off that complacency, and be proactive in ways of how do things need to be tweaked? Can we get in front of an issue
Yeah.
and hopefully prevent some of those fires that do happen? I
Very
think that's what
proactive
the
mindset.
I think that's what the good administrators do. I've seen people who, yeah, they get something to a place where it runs well, and then they're on cruise control,
Yeah.
and then that's when things start to unravel more,
Right.
and then you're having to react all the time. And ultimately, despite anyone's best efforts, sometimes there's going to be a
Right.
reaction. I mean, a literal pipe burst in a site, a flood. You have to
Right.
do something with facilities and real estate. I mean, there are things that happen,
But at least
but
it's
there's a lot
not
of ways to get in
reaction
front
after
of a lot of things.
reaction, right? It's just you're going to be as proactive as possible to before that reaction. So really quick, just some rapid fire questions we
Sure.
got all about you because we'll wrap it up here shortly. What are you watching right now? Any binge worthy shows?
We just watched a show called Untamed on Netflix.
Oh, yeah.
With Eric Bana.
I've heard it was good.
It was very good. There's
Yeah.
only, I think, 8 episodes.
Worth
but
watching?
Worth watching. It was
Worth
very
a
good.
second season.
Absolutely. I think they're working on one. Yeah. There's
Oh,
a new
good.
show with Mark Ruffalo called The Task on HBO, which I think just came out Sunday, which I want to watch.
Yeah.
So that's the next one that we're going to get into.
Okay, beautiful. What's on your reading list? Are you a big reader?
I do like to read. I have 3 small kids, so it's hard
Oh, wow.
sometimes to have
3
that time.
children.
So I'll read
Amazing.
sometimes. I'll read on the train when I commute to and
Yeah.
from work.
Like articles. Are you like an articles
I
person?
do. I like to read news. I like politics. I used to read a lot more, nonfiction
Yeah.
history.
Nice. Okay.
Right now, I just started Unreasonable Hospitality. Yeah, I was on vacation a couple weeks ago with the family, and I actually read a whole novel, a Kristen Hanna novel. So it's,
That's
yeah.
amazing.
So I do like to read, but sometimes I start a book and then it takes, a
Oh,
little
forever
longer
to
than I would
finish.
like
Yeah.
to. And, but yeah, no, it's.
Who's your top person in history? Do you have one that you're like, when you read, you're a nonfiction reader? Who's one person that you're like, I wish I could meet this person?
I always liked Revolutionary War times and
Yeah.
how America was formed. I always found Benjamin Franklin very fascinating. I
Yeah.
read his autobiography years ago, and the things that he did were
Right.
so ahead of his time. He's an impressive historical figure. So I like that.
Sweet. Well, if you go back in time, I hope you get to meet him. Really quick, what's your go-to coffee order? Or if you're not a coffee drinker,
Love coffee.
do you have
Starbucks iced coffees, a little bit of almond milk.
Ooh, okay, all right. And one final question, just to bring it back in. If you would have to give one piece of advice to our listeners about navigating change, leadership, and growth, what would it be?
I think you can't be fearful of change. You have to embrace it. Those who don't get left behind. And I think just always try to do the right thing. If something goes wrong, just say what happened. Like don't try to cover things up or make it better. Just admit when something goes wrong. And I mean, it happens to us all the time. We get patient complaints in the office. Despite our best efforts, things happen, and you accept it. You figure out a way to address that individual issue, and then figure out how to resolve the larger problem from happening again. So, yeah, it's really like I mentioned earlier, the lack of complacency, trying to make sure that you're questioning everything all the time. So you're constantly evaluating what works and what doesn't.
Right. Well, Adam, thank you so much for joining us
Thank
today.
you, Kiana.
I really appreciate it.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.